Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Red Path. My name's Brian, and I'm here joined by James. And today, we have now gotten kind of off a little bit of the hype train of 11th edition's release. Like, it's out, it's in the wild, points are out, tournaments have been getting played at this point, and it's time to actually start talking about how do we actually play 11th edition from a World Leader's perspective, a little bit deeper than just theory crafting. So today, James and I are going to be talking Khorne Daemonkin. James, how you doing?
Doing good. Excited. FIFA's going on, so I've got that competing with Warhammer. So I constantly have a phone on while I'm playing the game. So it's a fun time to be having a lot of free time.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I list buildings all over the place. These dispositions that got dropped on us, mixed with all of the different attachments that we have really kind of spiced up. I think specifically world leaders and how we play. I think Josie and I hit pretty hard in that detachment tier list video that Berserker Warband still may be one of the better, if not the best way to play the army, but at least Khorne Daemonkin and Possessed Slaughter Band and I'd even say that Gortrak all got nice quality of life improvements from these 1 DP detachments. So, like I said, today James and I are going to be talking through each of the detachments, how we can work with them. We're going to be talking about the state of Khorne Daemonkin and just in general. And we're going to be talking about some example lists and specifically a couple that we are excited to play in the wild. One that we know for sure will be pretty good, and one that we're like experimenting with. We'll have to see where it lands, but we'll get into that. So, James, you want to take us straight into the state of Khorne Daemonkin? How are we doing as Khorne Daemonkin players?
I think Khorne Daemonkin is doing quite well to benefit some from the changes. One change I was particularly excited to see was the change in unit coherency. If you played KDK in 10th, you know that one of its chief weaknesses was jail lists. So they're not completely gone, but that has curtailed them quite a bit, as well as the changes to scout and infiltrate interacting with one another. In addition, we have all these new sight lines we're playing with, these new terrain pieces, the hidden rule, and KDK's ability to really play off the table at first and kind of adapt to the way the table forms and then overload your opponent with whatever information they're giving you. It's really able to benefit from these terrain changes in a positive way that I've been excited to play with and is very frustrating for your opponent. When you can drop something down, a bloodletter unit that came off of something that was hidden. Your opponent moves something up, just one thing to kill it. Bloodletters drop. Then they try to shoot the bloodletters, but you tell them, "Oh, I'm sorry, they're hidden." You just feast on the misery in their face. You can feel it. So I think KDK is doing well right now, and it's an exciting time for them.
As James kind of alluded to, I think that playing from reserves is incredibly important and being able to play the table in general, right? A lot of my experience so far playing at 11th edition on various armies, kind of regardless of what they are, mostly on world leaders, though, is that you want to be able to play from reserves, which, I mean, every demon data sheet has deep strike. We range from bloodletters all the way up to Scarbrand, and there's a little bit in between there. And being able to have bad, I would say bad rapid ingresses and good rapid ingresses are both really powerful, right? You're able to flip objectives, or you're able to hit your opponent in the head with a chair. And either of those is really going to disrupt your opponent's game plan. And the other thing is, I think that Khorne Daemonkin plays combined arms super well, which is very important in 11th edition. It's all about where you are and when you're at that spot, and it's very important to be in that spot. Well, Khorne Daemonkin plays combined arms super well, not only because it gets access to one of the better DPs, that sorry, one of the better 1 DP detachments, in Brazen engines, which we'll get into that and more specifics. But being able to shoot something, kill something, and have an immediate payoff strat, which is the Bloodletter spawn, which means you're in that part of the table now, which means you're going to be scoring those points for that primary or for the action that you're now doing, or you're just charging and you're in that corner now. It's very important. So I think playing from reserves, super important. Khorne Daemonkin, kind of exclusively the only one of the world leader detachments that is just like that, like, I'm there now, right? Like Gortrak and Warband can like advance and charge into places, but that's not as reliable as just poof, I'm here, I'm charging, and you don't have to go all in on just like a slaughter bound with 3 exalted. Like that can feel a little heavy-handed at times, and it's not very durable. And Scarbrand hits as hard as that squad, is way more durable, or you can drop 10 bloodletters. And you're like, whatever, forget. Like you forget about them. The amount of times I've dropped bloodletters for Area Denial, I've been like, ah, I'm good. Like they did
That's
their
all they
job,
need to
right?
do.
That's all they needed to do. And there's nothing in Warband or Goretrack that can do that job that bloodletters basically do. So that's kind of my thoughts about playing on the table. I think it's very important now, and Khorne Daemonkin is set up really well, just as like I said, state of Khorne Daemonkin to take advantage of that. All right, James, that was kind of my opinions on playing from reserves. Now, I know you have very strong feelings about how Blood Tithe has impacted Khorne Daemonkin now, so how about you take us into a little bit of that?
Yeah, we Blood Tithe caught a pretty frustrating stray with some of the rule changes. So we've talked in the past about when you're making a KDK list, you have two mentalities you can pursue. You can assume a zero tithe game, which is you assume that you're going to get not a single 3-up roll, not a single blessing, and you kind of build the list with that in mind. Crushers are great in this kind of list because they don't really need too many tithes to be impactful. You also have tithe chasing in the past, which is, very much leaning on Blade of Endless Blood play, be it on a Demon Prince, which you didn't see a ton of, mostly a Mo or a Slaughterbound, and really pursuing those tithes. With the change to how character units work previously, if you killed a character unit, particularly with the Blade of Endless Blood, it was great. You had two opportunities for a tithe. If you killed it with Blade, you got two tithes, and then you could potentially get D3. So if you killed a character unit, you were guaranteed three tithes because of the stratagem to gain extra tithes. And you could activate Lance, or you could go all the way up to 5 and kind of play around in the next few command phases based on what your opponent was doing, based on what you wanted to do. Now you are only guaranteed two because that character unit counts as one kill for rules purposes. So even if you have Blade or even if you're rolling either way, you can get one tithe from the unit and maybe get more than one from the stratagem, but you should only plan for the one and just be
Yeah.
stuck at two. So the chasing of tithes, that's just gone. It's not reliable anymore. And
Yeah,
it's another kneecap to the army that already needed to jump through hoops, as we say.
we would say that the average army had about 13 units in it, and now that has shrunk quite dramatically. You're going to see a lot more 9, 10 unit armies. Playing tall in 11th also is something that doesn't get punished. A lot of the primaries say stand on one objective, and that's it. They only care about hold one and doing whatever else you're going to do that turn. And for a lot of the purge, and I foresee this meta coming too, which is it's kind of odd because the least one of the more unfair primaries in 10th edition was Purge the Foe. If you ran into Purge the Foe in the wild into Chaos Knights, it didn't feel very good. Right? Well, that's not the case really anymore. That mission doesn't exist unless you're playing Purge v Purge. Guess what the most common disposition is going to be in a tournament? I guarantee you 40% of the room is going to be Purge v Purge at any given point in time. Now, I'm happy to see that change, and that not be the case, but I assume that will be the case, which means unit counts are going to drop if we're actually playing kill, kill more, mirrors into each other. Unit count's going to drop. That with the characters attaching to squads, unit count's going to drop. That doesn't mean that we should be afraid of giving up kill more. It just means people are incentivized to play less stuff, which means less blood tithe, less while it's already inconsistent. So I think James and I both came to the conclusion simultaneously, which was nice because it means we're probably in the right direction, that blood tithe is no longer important. And it is sad to say that your detachment rule doesn't really do much. It does still for, I mean, we'll get into I guess we get into it now. Your two blood tithe, which is nice, and your three blood tithe, which is nice. The two blood tithe being your whole army gets a 5-up feeling of pain to mortal wounds and psychic. Psychic is very strong right now. Thousand Suns are very good. Grey Knights just got a bump too. Scent chickens are going to be everywhere. Having a 5-up feeling of pain, fantastic and scammy, right? It's really good, and it feels really nice to get that off into one of those guys. So you'll be chasing that, and then there's also the Lance strat or the Lance ability for your demons, which maybe it'll come up for your demons themselves, but we're pretty much more interested in getting twin linked up for various world leader units running around the table. Now the 4-up invuln, if I'm being serious, like that was never going to be the first one that you rushed, especially in some of these builds where we're looking at cutting Scarbrand. I know, shocker. Uh, and definitely never taking the blessings buff. I'm at that point now.
Yeah,
And
that
it's
that
sad to
was
see
always
that
the
like
last one you took.
it that basically requires you tabling your opponent now. Like they're dead and not on the table anymore to get that blessing or that buff to give blessings out to your demons, which it just sucks. Like it does suck. I think really at this point they could say you get blood tithe from your own stuff dying, and I don't think it would move the needle that much on how bad blood tithe feels to just generate and use at the moment. That doesn't mean that we think the de detachment's dead. Obviously, we don't think the detachment's dead. Because I still think that the detachment has the best strat in the game, or the not best strat in the game, best strat in the codex, being the summon by slaughter. It's just a messed up strat. Like I can't really defend it in any way other than saying that like spawning bloodletters literally anywhere, like I said in the intro, when board position matters more than anything else, it's just really good. But State of KDK, feeling good. Playing from reserves feels really good. I thought we should talk about how the Blood Tithe feels kind of bad now, but it also means that that's not necessarily all bad because that means in list building we're freed up a little bit more to experiment with more stuff, right? And that's why our 1 DPs come in. We have room to spend those points on stuff like Defilers or stuff like Terminators, because now we're not as concerned about like having our demon count high to actually take advantage of the Blood Tithe itself. So, with that, I think James and I are going to get talking straight about the detachments themselves. And we'll start with the good first, and we'll work our way into the ugly. And starting off first, we have Brazen engines. There's a couple reasons why this detachment I think is the good. It's because it gives us access to Purge the Foe. As I said, it's probably the best disposition. And I think in terms of world leaders, it plays to our game plan the most. It has a lot of, you don't really have to focus on playing your own game. You want to basically play your opponent's game. You're in their face, you're killing them, you're scoring points, you're in there trying to deny their expansion. Like you don't really have to think about board position beyond killing your opponent, which the other dispositions really want you to care about where you are. Purge just wants you to be in your opponent's face. So you have that going for you. In addition to that, the Daka Defiler, having access to Brazen for the 1 CP ignore hit and wound mods, very important, especially in addition where everything has cover now. Everything's going to be -1 to hit. Hitting on fives with guns is just not, it doesn't feel good. So being able to ignore that also gives you the added benefit of ignoring wound mods too. So like if a Victrix squad walks past a Defiler, you're just going to wax it. It's just gone, right? With the Daka Defiler.
Custodian wardens just cry.
Just cry. Literally just cry. And you can in I really like being able to stick like now we have an excuse to put demon princes in any of these builds because we're taking more world leader units. And now we have 3 more strats that could target world leader units because none of the KDK strats. I mean, there are some that target world leader units, but generally you wouldn't want a demon prince before. Now you have a reason to because you have 3 world leader strats you can use. So Brazen's nice because you can have a Demon Prince sitting there saying, hey, yeah, that Defiler is going to free Overwatch, that Defiler is going to free ignore mods. And there's a lot to take away from Brazen that really enhances KDK. And I think James can speak to, he was a big fan of running Forge Fiends in KDK, which, I mean, take it away, James. Why is it like the Defiler versus the Forge Fiend? You want to give some input on that one?
Yeah, so the Defiler versus the Forge Fiend, some people have been asking, like, do you need to take 2 Defilers? Can you sub them in for Forge Fiends? Um, if that's what you got, sure. But Defilers themselves, one, our Defilers did not go up in points as much as a lot of other people's. And to be able to have a stratagem that one is letting us hit on the fours that now everybody else is already, while still having the upside of our rapid fire and having the upside of ours are better in melee. We have extra attacks, and we get our blood dice. When you have that impact on the field in a detachment that already wants to be overloading the opponent, it's already moving fast, it's already contributing to the bloodletter spawning. That carries so much value. You are definitely using the ignore mods on the Defiler. In addition to that, the Forge Fiends, yes, you could use ignore mods on the Forge Fiends. Yes, you still have rerolls. And yes, we have touched on, if you want to bring a Forge Fiend, rerolling and hitting on fives is not the worst thing in the world. Keep in mind there's no more rerolls in Overwatch, but you shouldn't have been doing that anyway. Um, the Forge Fiend really wanted to be shooting what the closest thing is. The Defiler doesn't have that limitation for it to work. It just wants to unload around 36 shots into whatever target is downfield, at least within its rapid fire range. It doesn't have to shoot the closest thing for you to feel its impact. And that's really big for KDK because of how important killing at least something. It can be big, it can be small. Just something needs to die in shooting to activate the letters. That's very important.
Yeah,
And
and ability to be like, yeah, that rhino over there is dead. Like, I know that rhino's dead. The Defiler will kill that rhino. And if it doesn't, that's why I've always advocated for duplicates of gun platforms too. I've always been a fan of two or no Forge Fiends. I'm also in that same camp of two or no Defilers for KDK. And you can get away with one Defiler in a couple Forge Fiends. Like, that's fine. But your consistency for like hopping a rhino, guys falling out. Yeah, there's bloodletters there now, and they're charging the guys that just fell out of that rhino.
yeah, and I guarantee you, your opponent, you'll shoot the first time, and before you roll the dice, your opponent's going to be incredibly skeptical and they're not going to be worried. And then they're going to see how many dice you're rolling and how AP1 actually matters and how some of them have devs and some of them are flat 3 damage. And then the second one shoots and they start using their defensive strats and getting a little worried. And you can start baiting them and you can start just posing threats with the Defiler while also positioning for charges with them. It's really menacing.
Yeah, and one of the test games that I had, which I'll go ahead and talk about like a brief example, which we're talking about playing from reserves, and we want that level of consistency. So I had a perfect example where I was playing a game. I pushed Karn, we'll get into the list. I pushed Karn's Rhino up. Karn's Rhino got popped, and I paid a CP and put some bloodletters on the table. Karn disembarked into Hidden and was able to go for like a 7-inch charge on the following turn. Those bloodletters that came out also went for a charge in the same turn. I was able to wheel out both the filers, shoot down range, kill something, more bloodletters, able to charge, drop the Lord on Juggernaut Brick, able to charge. In addition to like you could insert any rapid ingress here and probably able to charge if this is a later turn. And being able to say, yeah, I can safely commit another squad of bloodletters because I know when this defiler shoots, it is going to have a consistent outcome. And sometimes with the Forge Fiend, if you're in that situation where you want those bloodletters out there, you'll shoot at something you don't want to shoot at just to kill it. Right? You're like, I need the bloodletters here, but I only get rerolls if I shoot at that thing, right?
That
And
one scout.
yeah, that one scout, and you're like, it just doesn't feel good, right? And no, I'm not trashing the Fortune. I think it's a fine gun platform. I'm hyping the Daka Defiler for what it actually brings to the army, and that's not just the only strat. There is another strat for be able to go through walls. Doesn't help the filers, but stuff like Forge Fiends and Mauler Fiends, knock yourself out. If you want to give the demon keyword to a Rhino or a Land Raider, knock yourself out, right? I wouldn't recommend doing that. Then you have the blood surging defilers, which is hilarious. It's genuinely hilarious. Somebody just walks up and you're like, yeah, by the way, the defiler blood surges. It's a gotcha. Make sure you tell your opponents. But I guarantee you they will not be thinking about a blood surging defiler, but our defiler's blood surge, and it's sick. And I think two defilers and a demon prince go hand in hand in Khorne Daemonkin, with access to Blade of Endless Bloodshed.
Yeah,
So
it's ironic that we're talking about tithes, right? And how that's the tithes. What an unfortunate nerf. But Blade is has never been more popular.
yeah,
It's in every list I'm building right now because a Demon Prince with Blade, not only it feels good now to run a Demon Prince that actually is in charge of the demons. Hooray. It makes sense finally. To benefit from all these stratagems that we have access to in the most CP intensive of our detachments, arguably. Um, you make him damage 4, he always has devs on the charge. So he's a really solid
and
bruiser to force multiply
yeah,
with.
and I see him coming out late game, and we'll get into the list. Actually, we'll just probably just sidelight this one. We'll get into the list, but I'm so excited about what Brazen actually brings to Demonkin, and I legitimately think it has a solid chance of being at least our second best detachment combo besides Warband, or maybe even it. I would think that it may even play the table better than Warband, and is one of the big things that's holding Warband back right now. Is it still good? But it can't be everywhere. And Demon can be everywhere. And 11th edition cares about being everywhere. So next up for the detachments to talk about, we have our Terminators, our Butchers of Khorne, I think it's called. Uh, it's interesting. We hyped it up, and I'll stand by that hype. Demonators is a cool sounding name. And when the detachment was first shown to us and we didn't know the dispositions, it it does legitimately interact with Khorne Daemonkin in a good way. right? As we were talking about reliable gun platforms killing stuff, uh, ter World Leader Terminators have a disgusting amount of shots, right? And
Yeah.
it's not like I said that the Defiler would dome a Rhino from across the table. Terminators probably aren't doing that. They'll pick up 10 crew. They'll pick up a squad of 5 scouts with full rerolls to hit. Like, they can do that, and there can be bloodletters coming out of that. Like, they will kill stuff with their shooting. That's not a question of like if they can kill something. It's just what can they kill. So like it still interacts with bloodletter spawning reasonably well. And then you have just, I think, probably the one of the biggest houses of damage buff stacking that we have in this codex. You can just list so many words that your opponent's eyes roll back into their head, right? Like, correct me, James. What you can have like lethal, sus, and dev. That's the easy one because it allows you to get the third blessing up. That's the reason why you're playing the detachments. Get the third blessing. You can get twin linked.
Yep.
You can get lance.
Yep.
You can get +1 attack from the detachment,
Correct.
and you can get +1 to hit.
Yes.
Am I missing one? That's only 7. Surely I'm missing one, right? Like,
Not on the offense. You've got it on 7 buffs on the offense. Because the Lance and Twin Linked are from one strat. And the reason you can buff all that, yes, you can't target someone with the same stratagem, but hey, Lance Twin Link doesn't target them. It targets the demon next to them.
hilarious.
Excellent way to get around it. And your opponent will try to stop you and say, no, you can't do that. And you go, actually, yes, I
Actually,
can.
and you gotta pull out the shit-eating grin smile. Be like,
Actually, you're about to eat shit.
yeah, you're about to eat 7 of these buffs, idiot. And they crack. Like, if you pull that combo off, whatever's in front of you is not in front of you anymore. And
Yeah.
your opponent's gonna be like looking down at their dice tray and be like, how many saves? Oh, wait, I don't get to make the saves because you're twin linked dev. I'm just not even there anymore, right? So, and it's the most kill more fun way I think you can. I personally think pulling that off, if you could get all 7 buffs, is probably the most fun thing you can do with World Leaders, period. Like that probably is the most fun. And the nice thing about it is the buffs, correct me if I'm wrong, but you roll at the start of the fight phase and then it only lasts for the fight phase. So you could like have a push turn where you shove the Terminators up. You do your thing, you punch them in the face, your third blessing falls off, and then they countercharge, and you're like, oh, smoke bomb, fight on death, right? And you
Yeah.
can be like, yeah, these Terminators will fight on death now.
Yeah,
Just
because it
act.
does not specify your fight phase. It is just the start of the
These,
fight phase. You're right that it falls off at the end of the phase, but you can change out and just so it's very freeing because there are a lot of matchups where you're like, I want to be taking fight on death, and you feel like you're sacrificing something for that for like a possible, oh, they might countercharge me. Now it's just like you get to see what happens. You even get to see if there's like heroic interventions and then decide. Um, you can do it in your turn if you want, if you have like an interrupt situation that could go awry. Um, so it's really useful and really freeing to the rest of your army for your Terminators to just reliably be able to fight on death. And they're already pretty tough, 2 up, 4 up, even though AP, interacts with cover differently now. 2 up, 4 up, 3 wounds is still really tough. And they will stay for a while and be very difficult for your opponent to chew through. So they're gonna get work done.
yeah, and it- I guess let's segue this now into we have some reservations on this detachment combo, right? We real truthfully do. We were very excited for it. Granted, we were excited before we knew the full picture, which is again why we waited. And now you get to see the reason why we waited. So James, why James has been trying to make this one work, and
Yeah.
I would say try is a good word for it. So James, why are we trying to make this one work? What's keeping us from being super confident?
So there's 2 reasons. Kind of since we just talked about the Terminators themselves, those stacking buffs are great. Like you said, when it goes off and it feels awesome. That is nearly mandatory to do that. You are taking enhancements on these guys. You need the one, at least on one of the bricks, where they're having +1 weapon skill. And these bricks are not cheap either. So, if you want a 10 man, for instance, with the +1 weapon skill, I think that's 375, right? That can be a little bit difficult sometimes to fit into a list. You're looking at something that's more expensive than Angron, right? When you combo that, these big, heavy units that move 7 inches, don't inherently have an advance in charge, but do have a deep strike. When you combo that with the dispositions they've been given, it gets a little awkward. They've been given, and if you're comboing with KDK, you have recon in KDK, because who doesn't love reconnaissance more than a bloodletter? binoculars.
Somebody make that AI slop right now.
I see you bleeding. That's on a shirt. Uh, they gave the Terminators disruption, and if you haven't played disruption, it's very strange to kid into because it's all the other dispositions. They have a thing they want to be doing, and you can kind of tool your list out to really lean into it. Disruption is trying to kind of mirror what everyone else is doing, but a little bit worse when they're playing their mission.
Yeah, disruption cares a lot about what your opponent is doing most of the time, and it has the unfortunate side effect of wanting you to be on your opponent's side of the table, wanting you to be doing actions everywhere, which, I mean, off theme already for a world leader doing actions, right? Like, cleanse already bothered me. Like, why are we cleaning this thing? Why we should be making it dirtier, right? And you have this 400 point brick that is stuck doing actions, right? We're not stuck, but you'll run out of things really quick if your opponent identifies if they just clear all the trash and you have two squads of Terminators left. That's half your army still intact, but like you can't play the mission. You
Right.
just
And
can't.
that you dial back then, okay, well, what if I just run a bunch of five mans of them? And that's when you find out the oddity of their loadouts. You're in a five man, you have only three power fists. You get one chain fist. And then if you're increasing them with the +1 to weapon skill, that's five wound or five models, 15 wounds for what is it, 190 points, maybe 200, if I'm not mistaken. 25 point enhancement.
Something around that, yeah.
Yeah, something around that. That's a pretty expensive brick for five that maybe with only three power fists, again, one chain fist and probably the pair to accursed weapons. Unless you're doing a CP investment in this five man brick, you're not guaranteeing that that's necessarily going to punch up as well as you want it to. The math is a little odd on them. So it's tricky building with
Right.
them.
Because three power fists and chain fist is, as you mentioned, awkward profile, right? If you were to throw that at a demon primarch or a defiler, you're winning on fives. Like that's incredibly lethal, but it's like not actually that incredibly lethal.
Yeah,
And until you get the holy blessing of the seven buffs up, like we talked about, if you're just walking them at something, you may struggle to kill it, even with three blessings up. And I kind of cynically said to James, and I'll say it again here at the start of this, is for everybody considering playing Demonators in a or Terminators period in a detachment that isn't Berserker Warband, if we just go to a magical La La Land where the seventh blessing is +2 strength +1 attack, and Terminators already get access to two blessings because that's just our army rule. There was a third blessing, and that was an option. Wouldn't you always take that option
every single time.
every single time? So that's already a hard hill to get over. And Demonators is already held back by the fact that, like, yeah, sure, three blessings sounds cool. I think the ability to turn on fight on death on command is obviously like different and better than Warband, but you have to have a really good justification to be playing the Terminators. And the seven buffs, that's a dream, right? You're going to be playing Recon with this. The dispositions are going to be holding this back. You're not going to be playing Disruption. You shouldn't. And if you are playing Recon, it's still not great. Like you can make it work, but like I'm going to squint while making it work, right? Like you're definitely going on side quests while trying to do the main game plan of the list. All that to say, I don't think this combo's bad, and we'll get into an example list later. It just it's just a little awkward, and I think once GW is planning on doing some balance lists to address some of the dispositions and disparities between them, this would be a combo that you'd want to keep your eye on once that gets addressed.
Yeah. If this for any reason can shift over to Purge, it's suddenly, I think, really good. Um, Part of the reason it gets weird with Recon, as we'll talk about in the list later, is, KDK being as CP intensive as it is, the Terminators, even with the Prince, are still very CP intensive.
Yeah.
And so when you're balancing all these things with the recon positional play, you end up at a point where you're just like, I'm broke. Please help.
Yeah.
Um, but if you can kind of do it with Purge, you can time things a little bit better and take your time, pace yourself a bit more with that command point generation. I don't know if that'll happen. That might be a stretch, but if we're wish listing.
Yeah, and like just some more highlights too. Like there's more to the detachment, right? Going through all three strats, right? You have +1 attack, you have -1 damage, and the third one was it's escaping my mind right now. And the -1
Uh,
damage is specifically in shooting.
+1 to wound monsters and vehicles.
There we go. Yep, well, there you go. It's helping with your lethality there. But it's CP intensive, as James said. You're going to be rapid ingressing. You're going to be spending a CP on that. You're going to want to do your twin linked combo, which is also going to probably want you to have +1 attacks, which is now you can't do +1 to wound and +1 attacks, which is a little awkward. So you're probably going to be doing it in two different places. So it's just like it's awkward. It's got tools. We just have to see it. Maybe get a little bit of points adjustment, rules adjustment. I will say quick shout out to the +1 OC enhancement. That one's not bad at all. So I think playing from reserve is really good. As I mentioned in the Demonkin video, I think there's actually a pretty solid. Like I don't think you can go wrong by doing like a 10 and a 5 if you want to cheapen your list up a little bit. Doing a 5 mana +1 OC. James is the one who had that idea. So you can just have like a rapid ingress, flip a point, Terminator brick. Pretty cool. Or just even deep strike it down, flip a point, rip a
Yeah.
charge.
A lot easier to hide too. Can harass an expansion because, if they just put some JPIs down, you want to do that. Cool. They'll kill 5 JPIs.
Yeah,
They better,
absolutely.
or you should throw them in the trash.
Yeah, which I in Warband,
Yeah.
Terminators tended to disappoint in melee a little bit at times. So like I'm cautious if you think the +2 strength +1 attack blessing wasn't good enough to get them over the line. Let's see what the third blessing can do. Right. And I'm not trying to be cynical about it. I genuinely love the idea of it. I hope it gets the detachment somewhere else. I do think it is one of those combos. It's like, well, yeah, it could just be playing Warband, and that's like not a great place to be. Well, speaking of, you could just be playing Warband. We'll get into the next and final of our one DP detachments, which is Vessels of Wrath. It got reworked. If you've seen our detachment tier list, we really didn't speak super kindly of this one, and that is because I think this is objectively making you write a bad list if you're trying to make Vessels work with Khorne Daemonkin. Khorne Daemonkin's not really that hot on epic, unnamed epic heroes. Like you have a couple, like you might have a Mo, and you might have a Demon Prince, but like that's about it.
Yeah.
And realistically, you shouldn't be taking Mo. I'm just gonna tell you that. Blade Mo is nothing compared to Blade Demon Prince, and now I think KDK wants to be playing Demon Princes. And you're just taking this detachment just to buff that one guy. When you
Yeah.
could have a super sick Defiler, or you could have 7 buff Terminators. I
You
just
you can't even buff your Lord on Juggernaut because you no longer have the World Eater's keyword.
Yeah, yeah, it does not work on him.
Yep. So
So like,
it'd be sick to have him as AP2. Him being AP1 kind of sucks sometimes, but
sucks a
y-
lot.
yeah,
It actually sucks a lot.
it sucks. It does suck a lot. But you just can't. He's not a World Eater. He is now a Blood Legion.
Yep.
So
So like, it's forcing you to spend points in places that were already, I would argue, suboptimal places to put points. Like if we're putting a Slaughterbound on the list, like if you put a Slaughterbound in, I'm gonna say, okay, what's it leading? 8 bound. Okay, cool. Why isn't this just Scarbrand?
yeah,
Like, I'll get to that point in that conversation with you. But is it like the +1 AP or cleave really worth it? Probably not. You don't care about the 4-up feel no pain you get. You don't care about I mean, the Desperate Escapes sounded cool before we saw what Desperate Escape got changed to. When it was like the, yeah, you just died into like, ow, my shin. Anyways, like I'm gone. Like push Steve over. That might be cool if you like are somehow still engaged with 5 elves and they all die, but like it's not really what we're looking at. And also shout out to the worst strat in our book, the +1 strength and or +2 strength +1 attack on the character model. Okay. Like maybe that'll come up for the Demon Prince, like pushing him to strength 8, like 10. Like cool, the Demon Prince can do it. Like honestly, it is just role play for the Demon Prince to be in Warband, and that's it. You're never
yeah.
using it on a Mo, you're never using it on a Slaughterbound. It's just awkward. I really don't think there's much you gain from this attachment, other than maybe you just want to play the disposition. But like,
Isn't it
just
priority assets?
yeah, but like, just go play Brazen.
I don't want
Like,
to play priority assets. Do you want to play priority assets?
more than disruption, but go play Brazen.
Yeah, okay, that's
Like,
fair. That's fair.
just go play Brazen.
Yeah. I
Is where
mean,
I
if
get
you
to the
want
meat
to
of that.
run, like, I know there's people who just live and die by their winged demon princes, and this is something
True, true.
there. Um, I am not one of those people though. And I generally am, that is a model that I have been down on in the past and will continue to be down on until they change it. So, the, I mean, if you want to prove me wrong, here. But
Yep. And this detachment also doesn't make you less CP intensive, right? That strat sucks, but you're still going to want to be using it every chance you can. And if you're going to be using it every chance you can, you're going to be using it. You're going to want it to be free. And the Foot Demon Prince is almost probably going to poke its head up. I think the Foot Demon Prince stonks and KDK goes up. Speaking of that, I think it's time to actually just get straight into some lists. Uh, First up, I've been talking about this one a little bit off and on in the Discord. I think this is the first time I'm kind of making it like fully public. But this is a list I've play tested now many times. James has also gotten his hands on this one, and he said he's excited to go play it again. And I've hyped it up. I think KDK Brazen is a very powerful combo. So just starting it off, we have a Demon Prince of Khorne with Blade of Endless Bloodshed. Spoiler alert, we've talked about it a lot. Again, another spoiler alert, I'm not playing Scarbrand in this list. Not particularly happy that he's not on the list. I just don't think he's necessary because this list kind of answers all the things that he would answer already. He is really good. If you can find a way to fit him in, all the power to you. Like, I'm not pooping on him at all. But I think the Demon Prince of Blade of Endless Bloodshed going to Dev Wounds, damage 4, potentially access to Lance Twin Linked. You hit your damage threshold that Scarbrand was hitting. He will probably kill what Scarbrand was also killing.
with
So
blood dice.
with blood dice too. Yeah, because he will have sustained hits, he'll have lethal hits, he'll have dev wounds. He might have Twin Link Lance, which sounds oddly familiar to the Terminators. Yes, you can do all that buff stacking specifically on this guy. He's really good at walking out late into the game on like turn 3, turn 4, and just being like a you've dealt with the Defilers. Now here's this guy. I have 17 2 damage attacks on. I played in a practice game. They're like, how many attacks does he get? I'm like, yeah, 17 dev wound sus. Right. So I think very highly of him. Then we have, in addition to that, I have Karn. Can't go wrong with him. I think Karn plus 10 Zerks plus a Rhino. I I just can't get away from him. I think shoving him up in the middle of the table, being like, come answer this, is a good way to get the game started. 11th edition is very important. You figure out how to get the game started, which is something you'll hear a lot from good players. You have to get your opponent to come at you to engage with you, or you have to get to them, which you get the answer of either rapid ingressing and shoving them or forcing them into an overcommit. I don't think rhinos are death traps like everybody's saying. I think they're required bubble wrap. And if your opponent has to commit a healthy amount of units to come kill Karn plus 10, you're going to get to commit back into them with way more. And that's even more so when you're backed up by, and you're getting to it, I've said it a lot, 2 Defilers in the list. Then finally, for the characters, I have Lord on Juggernaut with the Disciple of Khorne. He will be attached to 6 Blood Crushers. Him having access to +1 to charge is a blessing, and the Blood Crusher's icon or instrument, which gives +1 to charge. You can get a 7-inch charge out of Deep Strike and just go straight into your opponent. From reserves, I wouldn't recommend going for that as your primary game plan, but if you're already in a push turn and you're already sending Karn, you're already sending both the Filers, a squad of Bloodletters or 2, yeah, drop it, rip the 7, you'll be fine. Nothing bad can possibly happen. Then we got a Rhino for Karn, as I said. And then 2 Defilers, importantly, with double heavy autocannon. The autocannons are just volume. Like I said, we care about DACA, we care about our sustained hits, we care about our dev wounds. The Demon Prince is giving them discounted strats. Every single turn you are ignoring hit mods, or you are giving them a reroll to their save, or so forth, right? There's a lot of things that the Defilers are getting from the Demon Prince. They work very well together. Then for our trash package, we have 1 Fleshhound of Khorne. Really nice, like I said, being anywhere on the table is very important. Being in the right spot at the right time. Puppy Downy, as I call it, is very important to have one of. And then finally, we need something to give our Demon Prince loan up. And I'm a pretty big stickler about this now. If I'm writing any list, I want my 2x10 trash unit, which is 2x10 jackals. They're going to do nothing other than stand in your backfield, give the Demon Prince loan op so he can chill back there, maybe tow an objective just barely, give him loan op, and make sure nobody rapid ingresses behind you. Altogether, the list actually plays super smooth. The few times that I put it on the table so far, you have reliable, consistent gun platforms that also, like I said, we're not playing Scarbrand. They punch hard in melee, as James alluded to. The Bloodletter spawning's consistent. They're everywhere. You have a solid rapid ingress threat in the Juggernaut Lord, which has the flexibility to just come down on the table and have an 85%. I think it's like low 80% chance to nail the charge if you have access to a reroll from a 7-inch from Deep Strike. You have Karn plus 10. He still rips. You have a badass Demon Prince that'll rip. The list has a lot going for it. It can play the entire table. It's combined arms. It can hide and then ingress and start the game that way. You can shove a Rhino up, have your opponent come at it. Karn will still flip back up and be there. Start the game that way. Right? There's a lot of ways that this list actually interacts with how 11th edition wants to play. Very, very well. It toes in terrain, shoots, has loan up, has sticky on death, which is bloodletters. Which we haven't talked about how obnoxious that is, by the way. Your opponent walks a gun up to go shoot at that like rhino to get Karn to come out. And you go, yeah, I'm going to spawn bloodletters, and I'm actually going to string them because a lot of objectives are close enough that you can string the bloodletters out, have a model on each objective, and have them be within 2 inches, and you're hidden on both, and you just like randomly get hold more. Or like something dies, they kill the dogs that ran out to go do area denial turn one, and you just spawn blowletters on the objective, and you're like, yeah, these are hidden, by the way. And then your opponent's like, dang it,
They're also
right?
very hard to screen. Like the bloodletter spawning, the objectives are so large now that that 6 inch bubble, like it was a little bit easy to do on the tiny mats. Now on a full terrain piece, that is not easy to
No,
just
it's not.
inherently have denial on a 6 inch deep strike. And you just go, oh, I have stolen this objective that you thought you were grabbing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have killed my toy.
And I'm in the process right now. I had two defilers on the shelf just waiting for me to pick which color I wanted them to be, either blue, purple, or red. And I'm currently working on my red defilers right now. I'm very excited for this. I'm not kidding. I will be playing this at multiple GTs. And so help me, I will be playing this at WCW if I can. I am that excited for it, even if it may not be holistically the strongest way to play Warhammer 40K. I definitely think it is one of the stronger ways to play World Leaders. So, thoughts and opinions, James.
Yeah, I'll touch on I want to touch on we touched on the bloodletters. One, I want to emphasize that maybe holistically, like you said, it's not the best way. Out of the lists I played, it's the one I've had the most fun with. It is with these layouts, we're able to move defilers a lot more free. One of the things I had problems with back in 10th edition was sometimes I ran into a layout where I was just like, I don't know where to put the guy. There's a Doomsday Arc right over there. If I put him in the wrong spot, this defiler's dead. It's a lot easier to deploy these guys and stage them now, provided you don't get too aggressive. Something that also goes well with it that I don't think we've touched on is, and kind of circles back into why rhinos are not death traps, is our reactive disembark has a little bit of play now, especially when you include the demon prince. Something gets within 9 of this very aggressively pushed rhino. Um, Karn gets out, demon prince is within 12. One command point, Karn can bomb a charge. That's not bad, depending on what they've pushed up. If they've just tried to push some trash, they haven't pushed anything up to try and shoot at the rhino or where you're disembarking, and maybe you have +1 to charge up just because you took it turn one. If you can get a free charge off and kill your opponent and have that staging for your next turn, that's really solid. So Rhino definitely still has utility, is not a death trap, but I can't emphasize enough just how fluid and smooth this list does play. It just moves about the table in a way that's very freeing, is able to do whatever it wants to do at any given point in time. And it's just looking to kill. It's just playing Purge. You feel like a world leader when you're playing it.
Yeah, and I think we will address some things. Like it may be a shocker that we're not playing the hyped up Mauler Fiend in this list. If you want to play it, go for it. There is another rule to Brazen that we just completely went past, and it's honestly it makes sense why we went past it. Is that the detachment does have a rule, and that rule is cause battle shocks at the start of the fight phase of -1 with everything you're engaged with. Whatever. Like if it comes up, it comes up. Don't plan on it. That's not a rule you should plan on. But the Mauler Fiend issue, Cleave 2, it's cute. It's good. Sometimes. I have a hard time trying to hide Mauler Fiends and move them around the terrain, be efficient with them. I don't think they actually add anything to what this list is trying to do, just within a concept. And I'm not calling them bad. I just think while I was writing the list, I was like, I don't really need more monsters. There's already kind of a stat check in here already between the Crushers, the Demon Prince, and the two Defilers. Like that is a bit of a toughness stat check already. Adding Mauler Fiends, I'm not scared of anti-tank. I don't need more help with anti-tank. I would rather just have more stuff around the table. If you want to find a way to fit one in, go for it. I would probably start with cutting Karn, if that's what you're gonna look at. If you're gonna like cut Karn +10 for two, you probably get, yeah, you get two Mauler Fiends out of that. Like you can do that. It might work, but you're telling me to cut Karn the Betrayer. I can't do that.
Yeah, I think at
I can't
most
do
you
that.
take one if you can fit it in. And the reason I say that is It's kind of cute on a +1 to charge turn with your combined arms army. If there's something that's a little bit tough that you're not sure the filer shooting is going to make a sizable dent in or kill, you can strat reserve a Mauler Fiend, and it if it charges something that's wounded, it gets extra strength or extra to the dice roll. So you can also have a 7-inch charge on a Mauler Fiend coming in while you have your Blood Crushers coming in. Now, you better make one of them. You
Yeah,
better,
yeah. I feel fine making
yeah.
185% chance. Two's like you're flirting with disaster,
Well, it drops
especially like
off then because if you fail the first one, you're like,
yeah.
is this the one I reroll or do I wait? And then, of course, when you wait, you make that one. You're like, ah.
It
But
just to address like the Mauler Fiend has a non-bow inherently built into it, which is really annoying. Is that cleave too? And you're typically playing the gun, like the magma cutters on the Mauler Fiend. Like we've kind of like gotten around to the fact that is just objectively the correct way to play them. But say you walk up to a 5-man character unit plus a character, are you really going to shoot it with your magma cutters to give up 2 punch attacks? The fact that you even got to think about that now is enough to like make me like a little turned off to it. But you can play them. You can still play Scarbrand. This is just the list I wrote. It's smooth. I like it. James has played it. James likes it. I'll be playing this around the place. This is my personal recommendation for how to start with this detachment combo. Purge the foe, of course. This is the way. And now to talk about a second list. James, take us away with your patented Demonators.
I don't know if I want to put a patent on it just yet, but this is where we're at right now. Like we said, we're trying to make, I'm still trying to make Demonators like uh do well. I'm tooling around with it every day, trying to throw different stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I've been having fun with it, although like we said, Recon does feel very strange to play. And I've adopted a mentality. The way I see it with Recon, there's two ways you can go about it. You can go sort of mass stuff, do a few actions, be all over the place. Or you can have the meat wall that pushes everything backwards so that you have all the tiny things in your army that suddenly just have room to do what they need to do. Or through the meat wall, you're going to be all over the place anyway. And I've adopted the meat wall. So in this list, we have our Demon Prince of Khorne with Blade of Endless Bloodshed, handing out our CP economy. And we have our Lord on Juggernaut with Disciple of Khorne. I'm not leading home without him. I've been getting a lot of questions on Blood Crushers lately. Um, Guys, they lost 40 points. They went down 40 points. They are insane.
Yeah, like
It-
nobody saw that coming. Like
no,
why? Like
this is a blessing. Like they used to be as expensive as Angron. They were both 340. They are now insane. Um, Then we have 3 units of bloodletters. It's very nice to have 3 units of bloodletters again. I was running 20 for a while. Um, Typically, if you're going to run three, keep one on the board, pick that one up turn one if you are comfortable with your CP and your position, and that can stay up there till turn five when you want to summon by slaughter all of a sudden. It is very annoying. And then 2 6-man units of blood crushers. Um, we then follow that with 2 10-man units of Chaos Terminators, one of which has the Gore Stained Veterans upgrade, so it is hitting on twos, one of which has Sanctified and Slaughter, so it has increased OC on that brick. We also have 2 Fleshhounds and 2 Jackals to kind of make the most. The Jackals for the backline screening, which you want to have those 2 Jackals back there anyway, because again, Recon cares about table quarters often. I think mostly when it plays Take and Hold, which is, from what I'm seeing, a fairly common. I think Take and Hold maybe a second compared to Purge. I don't know if you've seen similar, Brian, but Fleshhounds as well is going to help us with just secondaries and bouncing around and being wherever we want to be. So this list kind of operates in a wave pattern. It's making use of the +1 to charge that the Lord on Juggernauts unit can benefit from. So what you ideally do is you rapid ingress your non-lead blood crushers, and then you hard deep strike your lead blood crushers, and those shove into the opponent, right? That is something that's difficult to chew through. It's something that a lot of people get afraid of once they realize how the mortals work, and it will kill. It will do well, and if you have 6-inch pile-in, will just really cause some problems. Then you follow up with the Chaos Terminators after they're trying to chew through all that, which they very unlikely are going to be able to efficiently get through 12 Blood Crushers plus the Lord on Juggernaut, who, by the way, with the new rules, if he is still around and the rest of his unit has died, you can still res Blood Crushers off of him because he's still the unit, which is great.
yeah,
Terminators then
he's
fall.
not a world leader. He's not a world leader. So make sure you find a way to get a rhino or
Yeah,
sneaky rhino or something up there.
you have to have
or
the
the Terminators
Terminators or
themselves.
the Prince near him. And what's not that is a stratagem that can be zero CP'd because it targets the world leader. So your Demon Prince
Yep.
can make those res for free. Your Terminators then follow up and just keep shoving and pushing and making life hard for your opponent. Meanwhile, your Fleshhounds are going up and down. Your Bloodletters are spawning off of any deaths that do happen, usually a little reactively in this case. You might notice we don't have Defilers or Forge Fiends. In the past, I've said making the most out of your Bloodletter spawning is bookending them. You do one actively and reactively, and you try to do them on mirrored turns depending on your turn order. So I would say if you were going first, turn two, you do it reactively. Turn three, you do it actively, and vice versa if you're going second. One, landscape is a little different in 11th. We have different priorities on how we're handling the battlefield. There's also always the exception if you can go take an expansion or your opponent's home, just go ahead and do it. In this case, because of the way recon tends to play, your bloodletters not very often are actually wanting to get in a fight. Sometimes they do, but sometimes you need them just to be somewhere or doing an action. And so they're just spawning reactively, making sure you have that momentum and you are in the various table quarters you need to be in. And again, for that, three is wonderful. Now, there is a little bit of an oddity with this list, and that is how it interacts with reserve points. So, um, if you want to put all your blood crushers in reserve, that is along with the Lord on Juggernaut, along with maybe a Chaos Terminator squad. That's a lot of points. Uh, it's actually too many points if you then add in 2 units of bloodletters, right? So you have to make a choice. You either start both units of Terminators on the table, which is not bad, 7-inch move, but again, we're following up a wave. Or you decide I'm going to start 2 units of bloodletters on the board. And over the course of the game, you definitely are picking one of them up, if not two. So that's a choice you are going to have to make based on your opponent, based on what you are seeing at the beginning of the field, right? And it's something to be aware of. But this list is fun. Again, it is strange to play. We don't have Khorne. We don't have very much shooting beyond the Terminators, which you are taking autocannons. For those of you curious, I've gotten questions on autocannons versus flamers. You are
It's
taking
autocannons.
autocannons. You could potentially have one shot with the flamer, or you could have 6 shots re-rolling with sustained and death wounds and AP1, right? Um, but yeah, what are your thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, as you kind of hit the highlights of, I think the reserve thing isn't as big of a problem as it may seem. The odds that you're going to actually get the crushers up in somebody's face turn one, you even have, there's a reason to start like the Juggernaut Lord on the table, then pick them up if you really need to think about how you're going to handle your reserves. If you want to look at that, you can do it that way. Recon really cares about, and the nice thing about Recon is it doesn't really have you doing more than one action a turn, which is manageable. As James said it's a little awkward. There's a reason why you do this over disruption. Doing one action a turn, you can manage it. It'll be fine. It just gets a little awkward at times because we have these giant bricks running around that you care about being in multiple table quarters. And there is somewhat of a durability stat check behind this, right? Pay attention to, and I think this is one where you really, Recon really cares about you paying attention to where you are on the table. So, and world leaders really want you to just flow in one direction straight at your opponent. So, like as James, we've mentioned several times, pay attention to it. I think this build actually works pretty well for what it's trying to do. I still think this is probably one of the better ways to play Terminators. I'm a fan of the build. I think it has like the 2x10 guys at the back. You got me there. Two puppy downies, pretty good. Two very big, durable, chonky Terminator bricks, and you can't go wrong with a Crusher brick. And I think James put his own little spice on this with the or not MSU, but the 1x6 Crusher brick, which in it of itself, with now -1 to hit, is pretty obnoxious to get rid of. Get rid of off the table. Like it's T7, it's got invulns, it can revive back onto an objective. You can still do the same trick we were doing before, where you like stick maybe one onto an objective and five behind it. There's no way they're getting through 6 crushers and one activation with really anything. So you can revive back onto the objective. That trick is still there. I'm a fan. I am a fan. Granted, I have Brazen,
Yeah.
but if you want to play Terminators, this is the way to go. I think if Terminators do end up getting if Terminators get or if the dispositions end up getting buffed at all, we can see this take a major swing up in popularity and viability. For now, though, I think it's playable. If you want to have fun with it, you will certainly have fun with it. Do I think it's the most competitive way to play World Eaters?
I would say
Probably not.
Brazen takes that case
I think
cake right now over
I,
this.
I think Brazen is the clear winner of the KDK detachments.
Yeah. Um,
Well,
like I said, still working on Demonators. So if at some point, like we said, if there's a change, we'll cover that. But if I make a list in my testing and I'm like, ooh, I need to tell everyone about this, you will hear about it. I promise.
yeah,
So
we promise. So with that, we've been talking for a little bit here, guys. We'll go ahead and close this one out. Thank you everybody for sticking around. If you have been, I hope these lists help you with your list building and your own writing and your own journey. If you want a good start, these are a good start. If you're going to go to an RTT or a GT next week or this weekend, uh, go ahead and take it out for a spin. I think ADK is really good. I think it plays 11th edition very well. I'm genuinely excited for it. I am hobbying up so many bloodletters right now. I stripped them all and I'm in the process of repainting all of them, like James should do to his own. But we won't get into that. Abominations of models. Uh,
I show him like a few like really well painted models, and he's like, "Why don't any of your world eaters look like this?"
yeah, you genuinely are a good painter. And then you showed me like kids' first drawing bloodletter. Anyways, I'll leave you alone.
It's stress for tournaments.
So, with that, guys, please consider we're going to be doing a lot of workshopping and list building on the Discord. Please check out the Discord if you want to support us. We have a Patreon as well. We do all sorts of workshops and more in-depth list construction talks in there. So please consider supporting us for a coffee a month. It really helps us get stuff like this out. Um, you got anything else to add, James?
I drink a lot of coffee, so yeah, a coffee a month, please, please.
Please
I need it.
take us out, James.
Everyone, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill, maim, burn.